Hey, folks. A very good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, based on whenever and wherever you're tuning in from. A very warm welcome again to .NET Conf 2024. We have had a lot of excitement with the latest .NET 9, with performance tuning and enhancements and all the performance benefits and productivity for developers. You may have heard a little bit about AI. We're going to do some more to see what this means for developers and our end users. So let's talk about Smart UI powered by AI. So, my name is Sam Basu. I work as a Dev Advocacy Manager at Progress Software. Hopefully, you know us for some of the things we build to make developers a little bit more successful and productive with things like Telerik UI, Kenda UI, Fiddler, Sitefinity, JustMock. And I'm going to talk about some things today that showcase how we see AI going forward. So, let's dive in if we look past all the hype of modern AI, these are the three big benefits that I see it. First up is all of your operational intelligence. When we talk about modern AI, it's easy to look at chatbots and all the shiny things, but it doesn't need to be. AI can be very responsible and done ethically, maybe even behind your firewalls and on premises. And you could have machine learning. You could have modern AI power your experiences behind the front end as well. So you can have lots of intelligence in how you collect and process data, and all of it could lead to intelligent workflows. Maybe it's not something we see, but it's just what your business workflows will benefit out of. But what's much more easier to demo and talk about is obviously the other two. We're going to talk a lot about Smart UI. This is where we are, passing down the benefits of modern AI, generative AI, down to your users, so they have a slightly easier time using the apps that we build, so better UX. And of course, we are developers, and we want more productivity. We want more automation in the things we do and how we write code. So let's talk about developer productivity. Now, before we dive all into AI, I did want to spend a little time. I'm an old man, but just to debunk some common misconceptions that we sometimes carry forward when we look at modern AI. First up, this is nothing new. AI, artificial intelligence as a branch of science, has been around for like 50 years. We have done a lot of neural networks. We have done machine learning, and all of it is evolving. And generative AI is, a small slice of what AI truly is. And it doesn't need to be all public cloud in the way we use it. So we can use it responsibly, use it the way that makes sense for you and your business workflows. AI models that we use often, this is where we see the tectonic shift in how much computing and how much knowledge these models have. But it ends up being the beauty of AI that given the same knowledge base, given the same prompts, you're not guaranteed the exact same predictable response. And that's where maybe is the beauty of the creativity of AI. So just keep that in the back of your mind. AI still cannot take concrete actions. Given the things that it knows, it's trying to come up with the best possible guess. So don't expect AI to do searches or take concrete actions unless you, the developer, has wired up additional things. When we talk about chats, we often talk about context of how much AI knows about our chat, and it's not limitless. There is a contextual conversational window, and that's where some of the pricing of the models comes into play. So just keep that in mind. It's just not limitless. It's like a last in, first out that model. And the last two are the ones, that I care deeply, because it's easy to think about AI as a model that constantly learns. So if you have a new feature in your product and you write up the docs today and you ask OpenAI or ChatGPT or Azure or any of the other AI models tomorrow, it's not going to know because it has not had a chance to learn. So whatever knowledge that AI has is marked in time. And beyond that, you have to, let AI do its thing. Sometimes it's creative. That's what we sometimes call hallucinations, where it doesn't really know what you're asking, but it tries to come up with the best possible answer. But there is a way around it. And that's what we called RAG, or retrieval augmented generation. This is a way of grounding your AI models to say, yes, you might have some knowledge, but here's something new and trustworthy that I want you to look at before you respond to me. So these things are very relevant as we, utilize AI to build better user experiences, build better productivity tools for developers. So just some small things to keep in mind. So we have already started talking, but just a quick agenda here. We are going to talk. We just talked through some of the AI constraints, but let's talk about how our UI can be smart. I'm going to show you a bunch of demos here today. Again, just a disclaimer here: not all of these things are meant to be part of a product. It's not a guarantee. This is all an experiment because we are as excited about AI as everybody else. So I'm going to show you some really smart UI things from prompt semantic searches, which are powered by local embedding, that can be doing things behind the firewalls. A lot of enterprise workflows end up working with big documents like PDFs and Words and spreadsheet documents. We'll take a look at how AI can really help the users in this case. And then we're going to try to push the envelope a little bit more. I'm going to show you some really cutting edge things of maybe you want to invest in stocks. Could AI help? Maybe you are building modern web apps. Could we change up styling and theming of our apps with AI? And then while you're writing your code inside of Visual Studio or VS Code, or maybe in your browser, could AI help with coding assistance? And how can we extend the chat experience in VS Code or Visual Studio, or maybe tap into GitHub Copilot extensibility? So all of that is what's coming up. So enough talk. Let's see how things work. All right, so I'm going to step out of my slides here. And I'm on a Mac machine here, but I will show you Windows in just a second. But before we go in, I'm going to pull up my terminal here just to show you that I am running on .NET 9 RC2, and between RC2 and the final bits, not a whole lot has changed. So let's go look at Visual Studio Code here. And I want to start with something super simple. Let's say your users are wanting in your app a way to communicate with the chat endpoint. Could be OpenAI, could be Hugging Face, could be Azure OpenAI, anything, any AI that you can think, any endpoint, and you as the developer wants to enable that chat experience. So you can create things by hand, but it's going to take you a while to hook up everything. Here's a little bit of help. So what I'm showing you here is a .NET MAUI app, modern .NET 9 powered .NET MAUI app. Let's go ahead and run this, and I'm going to do this on my Mac OS, so running it as a desktop. You can run the same exact app on iOS or Android if you're running it on mobile, or you can do Windows or Mac OS. So this is just a super simple Hello World app. When it does deploy, you're going to see just a simple Hello World .NET MAUI app with the default template. But the only thing I've added here is a little bit of Telerik UI, and that's giving me this button. And once I click on it, I get this little AI prompt. This is the AI prompt, which is all set up for you to wire up. So you don't need to do anything else. A lot of things that we need to create by hand, it's already done for you. So let's go in and ask here, what is .NET Conf, right? Question mark, and let's do generate. So this is all live. It's actually going off and talking to Azure OpenAI, and comes back with a response. As we expect, .NET Conf is an annual virtual conference and all the goodness that you get. Now, built in here is an upvote, downvote. So you may like or not like the response. You can copy it out to a different clipboard and off to a different app, and you get some toggle things. So this is just a Hello World example, and I can ask it whatever. It's actually wired up to respond with whatever type of text you want. So this is how simple it is to wire up an AI prompt. And all I'm doing here is dropping in that control. And here in my code behind for the main page, all I'm giving it is a view model. And in my view model, I do bring in some references. I'm using a ChatGPT NuGet package. And essentially, I am wiring up this execute prompt. So when you do type in something, in my Maui program.cs is my key for my OpenAI or Azure OpenAI AI endpoint, so I can talk to it. And I go send the response, bring the response back. That's how easy it is, right? So this is super simple. But let's look at the same exact UI, maybe in a slightly different context. So this was just me tinkering, so that doesn't look very professional. So let's look at the same app here, or a different app here with the same UI. I'm going to take you into a sample. This is actually a sample that is the one that we use to actually push a sample app into the iOS, Android, Windows, and Mac stores. So you don't need to trust what I'm saying. Just go check out the app itself. I don't have Android SDKs, which is why it's complaining, and that's totally fine. I'm running it on a Mac. So let's go ahead and fire up this app. And this one has all of the UI that we make, not just AI-powered ones. Everything that we do for .NET MAUI, it's all kind of shoved into a single desktop app, just trying to show you all the flexibility that developers have. And if you load up the app on mobile, the same app looks very different because now you're looking at a mobile experience. So this is classic desktop, has all types of UI and all types of UI components that you can throw in, all the things that are really difficult to build by hand, like grids and charts and chat, and so on. So here's the same AI prompt, but this one has a few more features here. So now you can see that as I am the user, as I'm starting to type, I don't need to type everything. So think about your business workflows. Maybe it's a field engineer who's going out and they could benefit from some suggestions, so they don't need to type the whole thing. Maybe you're trying to write a CV in this case, so I can just tap on that and it comes up with the suggestion. I go and generate the CV, and these are some key points in a well-written CV. Produce standard response from OpenAI. I can retry. I can thumbs up, thumbs down, and again, if I retry, I'm not guaranteed the exact same answer. Now in here are a few more things. So I can ask it to simplify a response. I can ask it to expand or summarize a response. Or again, these are your custom things. I can say, fine, you gave me something, in a different language. Can you go and translate that? And again, these are some things you can throw in. So inbuilt custom suggestions, inbuilt custom actions on the outputs. So again, if your job as a developer is to just go talk to an AI endpoint and enable chat, you can do that pretty simply with these AI prompts. Now, that's just one quick look at desktop or native apps. If I show you the same experiences here, let me take you to, let's just say, Blazor UI. Again, the same experiences can be had for web apps and desktop apps and mobile apps. It's all the same thing. So here's the AI prompt, exactly the same experience that you saw on mobile or desktop. Same custom suggestions, custom inputs, custom outputs, different types of views. You can build your own custom toolbar, different types of customization options and localization, all of those good things. So again, if you are needing an AI prompt that just talks to an AI endpoint, we got you covered. All right. So let's look at some more things here. So I'm going to go back to VS Code and show you a slightly different example. So let's go here, and I am going to pull up a different demo here and look at some smart components. Now, smart components is a smart idea, but essentially it's just AI-powered UI components here. So let me actually go ahead and run this. This is a Blazor web app. So it can run server-side. It can run fully client-side if you're doing WebAssembly. But it has a few custom menu items, and then it has 3 examples. There is a grid, there's a ComboBox, and a PDF viewer. So let's go run this app. And it's going to do a build and deploy it locally. So here it is. Localhost is where it's running. So this says, hey, I'm Smart UI. I can do things. So let's see what it can do. So when I look at a grid, classic enterprise example, you can have tons of columns and rows and paging and sorting and filtering and all types of wild things. Now, what you want your users is to be able to quickly search through that. And we have had traditional searches, but in this case, if I type in milk and I hit search, it doesn't need to be an exact match. So this is exactly what's called semantic search. So essentially, it's looking at milk and it's looking at a list of products, and it's vectorizing both types of strings and trying to find the closest possible match, the similarity. So that's where your user experience is a whole lot better. I can type cake and I can get, similar things. Same experiences if we look at a combo box. So in this case, I can type in pasta, and again, I get gnocchi, I get ravioli, I get the usual things which are not traditionally marked as pasta. Now, the benefit of this is powered by local embedding. This is Steve Sanderson and the Blazor team put out a few NuGet packages, and experiments show that for small to medium-sized data sets, this can actually work very well. You don't need to go to a public OpenAI model or an Azure model. This can be local on your server. And these texts that are powering the experiences, excuse me, these can come from Entity Framework. These can come from your SQL server. So very local embeddings that are powering these experiences. And essentially what you're doing is you're making the user type less and less and let them be more productive. So that's semantic search. Now, let's look at this example here. While I'm loading this component, it's a Blazor UI component. What it's doing here is loading up a PDF document. Again, classic use case. Most enterprises deal with documents of some type. Now, it's a marketing doc here that has quite a bit of images and quite a bit of text. So while we are talking, what we are doing here behind the scenes is we did a chunking of the doc. We broke it up into a couple of pages and sent it all to Azure OpenAI. And it's actually using one of our custom models. And we said, here's the document. Can you make sense of it? Which means as a user, I don't need to type a whole lot. So if I tap on that AI assistant, I get a few prompts, some suggestions that are based on the document that I fed my AI model. So it's saying, hey, what features do you want, and so on. But I mean, those are just starting points. I can go off the rails and I can ask whatever I want. So let's see if I ask, how does Telerik DevCraft help developers? Pretty standard question here. So let's go generate. And again, fingers crossed, it's all live. We are making a call to Azure OpenAI. And it comes back fairly quickly. It says, hey, reduce dev time, increase productivity, consistent UI, standardization, support and resources, and so on and so forth. I can copy, I can retry, the usual, right? So what you're gaining, again, is some of that custom suggestions. So we are essentially ingesting the whole doc, so the user doesn't have to make sense of a gigantic legal document. You can feed it, again, based on how your ethics are, how responsible you want. Could be a model that you host behind your firewalls, and then it can make sense of exactly what you are trying to do as a user. Right now, a lot of these things that I'm showing you here, let me go and close that off. Those are actually open sourced, and these are all experiments. We call them smart AI components. So take a look through what they might do for you. All right, now we've talked a few examples of web and desktop, but we have been on Mac OS as a desktop. So let me switch to Windows, and I'm on a Mac here running Windows in a VM. But it's got a beefy processor, should come up pretty quickly. Here is my Windows 11. All right, and let me tune down the fonts here a little bit. It doesn't need to be so big. Let's see, where did it go? I just wanted it down to maybe 100%. There you go. All right, so now let's look at Visual Studio. On Windows, I'm running the latest 2022. Now let's look at the same exact app, the one that we looked at, the web. The same idea should work on native mobile and desktop as well. So we'll give it a second for this app to load up. And once it's done, we are going to fire this up as a .NET MAUI app, and it's going to do a build and deploy onto Windows as a machine. So here's my .NET MAUI app. Same exact idea, but because this is native, we can do things a little differently if we wanted to. So here I can type in milk and hit enter. And now you can see that it's actually highlighting things within the grid itself. Again, same idea, semantic search. We are doing vector matches between multiple strings and, showing you how many matches we have had. So just done slightly differently, but the exact same idea. So you get the point. And all of this is powered really simply by turning on semantic search on certain search search criteria, and here's the main page that just sets it to be a main view model. Let me bump up the fonts here a little bit, and here's my main view model. All we are doing here is when you fire up that search, we are essentially taking in the user input and trying to see a local embedding similarity search. So based on what we know, and we do it for every row and every cell, here are the matches that we find, and you can fine tune exactly what matches you're happy with, what extent your similarity that you're happy with. So semantic search is pretty easy to implement, and it's across web and mobile and desktop. Now let's switch gears a little bit. I'm trying to show you as many things as I can. Half an hour is not a very big amount of time. Let's look at a different example here. This one here is a WPF app. Again, .NET MAUI is fantastic if you are building greenfield desktop apps or mobile apps, but a lot of enterprises have investments in WPF and WinForms. And those apps, I don't like the word legacy because it makes it sound old. Yes, they're old, but it's still powering your modern enterprise workflows, and it's making, it's keeping your enterprises, happy with the workflows and making money. So what's wrong with WinForms and WPF? So nothing's stopping you from doing AI inside of traditional desktop here as well. So this is a WPF app, and it's got a bunch of things in here. But what it does, it just tries to load up a rich text document. So let me go ahead and actually run the app, and I can show you what this tries to do. All right, so out comes a WPF app. And again, all of the code here is open source, so you can take a look. So classic use case of a user typing in some sort of like a Word type document, or maybe they're writing a comment on a blog post. So this one says, hey, what exactly are you trying to type? So let's do this again. What is .NET Conf? And maybe I'm trying to be lazy as a user. I don't want to type the whole thing. So there it is. There's the ghost text, and I can tab, and now I get the response back from Azure OpenAI to say .NET Conf is this, and this. So pretty easy. And again, let's check this out again. What is WPF? Question mark. Right. So again, think about the user's perspective. And again, I can tab from the ghost text, and there I get what is WPF, right? So again, as they are typing in, you can help out so they don't have to type as much. So again, any PDFs, any Word documents that you're handling can also benefit from things like this. Let me show you one more thing here. This is also a WPF app. And let's go ahead and run this. And this has the classic enterprise need of working with rows and columns of data, right? So in here, we have loaded up a spreadsheet control, right? It's a WPF control, and it's wired up to maybe your SQL server or whatever it is here that's your data set. Now, I grew up to be a little bit of a Formula One fan. So this one's saying, hey, in these cells, I have a year and I have the champion, the Formula One champion, and the number of wins they had in that season. Now, again, as a user, I don't know any of this context, but I do know what I'm trying to do. So as I'm speaking, I'm just going to go ahead and do a drag here. So essentially, behind the scenes, even that spreadsheet, it is powered by document processing, which is a .NET library we have, and you have absolute granular control over exactly what that library does, exactly how you're creating that spreadsheet. So in this case, while I did drag and drop in my spreadsheet, we essentially went off to OpenAI and Azure OpenAI in this case to say, hey, for these years, can you tell us who the Formula One champion was and how many wins did they have? So think about your workflow. Maybe it's a field engineer, maybe it's somebody who's doing HR work, and when they are, clicking and dragging and dropping in the spreadsheet, you know exactly what they're trying to do, and perhaps you can help out with a little bit of AI, right? So just some quick examples, and all of this is just, a few lines of code trying to wire it up with our intent and in the context and exactly what the user is trying to do, and we get the responses back from OpenAI, and off we go. So just some examples that you can do this on desktop pretty nicely. So let's switch gears here, and I want to show you a few more things. So I'm back on my macOS side. Let's show you some new and really cool things that has me pretty excited. So let's load up this little project here. And this is a grid. This is a .NET MAUI app, and it's showing a grid. And perhaps it is a grid that you're going to use to show stock symbols and how they're doing over time. So let me go ahead and run this app. Mac as a desktop or as a target is fine. It's going to do a full build, go to Mac Catalyst, and come back and give me a desktop app. All right, here it is. So over here on the left is my stock symbols. This may or may not be part of my stock portfolio, but you get the idea. It's just some very popular common tech stocks. In here are also some latest prices. And again, this is obviously fake data because it's powered by JSON, and we have a min and the max range, and we're just cycling through every 2 seconds and so on. If it falls below, if the trend is like the last 2 has been bad, then it's red. If it's going upwards, then it's green. Now in the price history column is where we are drawing a little bit of a chart. Now anytime you put expensive grid or a chart inside of a grid, the rendering gets to be a little bit expensive. Any type of data visualization control. This one here is actually drawn with Skiasharp. So it's a spark line that is drawn on the fly with Skiasharp. So performance is super, super optimal. And then we have investment suggestions. So just a little bit of AI. Given the performance of the stock, we just go off to AI and say, hey, what do you recommend? Should I hold? Should I sell? Should I buy? And so on. So just a quick glimpse of what is possible if again, just an experiment to see what is possible if we did AI across some of these use cases. And that's just a custom financial column. It's a custom renderer that's giving me that experience. Now let's look at a different side of the story here. So let's switch up here and show you this little example here. So we did an internal hackathon, and this was one of the ideas that got a lot of love. So we are calling it Saccharides. Again, all experimental. We are trying to see how we want to incorporate this into our products. So on the right here, you have a classic web app with a whole bunch of UI. I got a calendar, I got some lists. And here, what we are trying to do is style our UI dynamically based on whatever AI tells us. So let's just do a Barbie theme, shall we? And we generate a theme. And a theme is a combination of multiple things. It's colors, it's typography, it's spacing and radii and so on. So everything turns pink as you can expect. But this is .NET Conf, so we want to maybe do a .NET purple, because all of that pink is a little hard to read. So now it's going to go off to, again, Azure OpenAI, talking to our custom model. And it actually shows you, here are the styles that we got back from our AI model. You can take those styles, copy it off to your Blazor app or your Angular app or your React app. The end result here is you get to see all of your UI styled with the help of whatever styles AI is coming back to. We essentially went off to AI, and there are some advanced modes here. You can choose your creativity, so the temperature. You can choose the mood, the vibe. I don't know what cyberpunk vibe would be, but you get the idea. So think about accessibility. Think about dynamically styling up your UI based on certain things that you're letting the user ask AI. So in a cool little experiment here. Now let's show you one more thing here. If I go to the Blazor landing page for all things generic, or no, just .NET and Blazor, down here you're going to see a link to what's called Blazor REPL. So this is essentially a way for you to say, I am excited with Blazor, but I don't want to start a project. I just want to tinker. I just want to play around with it. It's a playground, so you can load up some NuGet packages and play with Blazor, see it work in action live in your browser before you bring it to your apps. So let's see what we can do. Here is a different version of the REPL that we have been playing around with. You have the usual NuGet packages. I can pull up my source code. I can essentially save my work. I can have a unique URL. I can share it with my friends and coworkers to see, look what I've built. Now, this is all in your browser. And if I have not checked in this piece of code into GitHub, I have no way of opening it up maybe in GitHub code spaces. So I have no help as a coding assistant. I don't have GitHub Copilot, but maybe I can tap into a different model and get the same type of help. So this is our little AI coding assistant. So let's come in here and type something. So generate Telerik Blazor grid UI code with sorting. right? Kind of a specific response here. So we're going to ask our AI model, and the ninjas go off to work, and it comes back with some code. Again, all in your browser. And this is very runnable code. So I can just hit run here, and you're going to see that exact code now being deployed. And you have some products, and I can sort them. The product 1, 2, 3 isn't a very good example of sorting, but it did turn the sortable to be true. So again, a custom AI model that knows. Again, it's all about the value add to developers. Like, yes, you can get some of this code from GitHub Copilot, but you don't have it here. How about we try to help with a custom model? And this is very, very runnable code that I can have a conversation with some more context, like add some filtering to this grid and so on. Now, so this is one thing in your browser. Now, what if we took some of this goodness and brought it to other places, right? So let's leave this and let's go over here back to VS Code, and I'm going to show you a different app here. So let's go down here. I want to show you this one here. Again, keep in mind, this is all experimental. So what I have here is a Node.js app, and essentially a VS Code extension, right? So let's go run this really quick. And it's going to launch, and takes a bit to come up with all of that. And now it is up. Yep, I want GitHub Copilot chat. And let's start a new chat instance and move it over. So this is the classic Copilot experience inside of Visual Studio or Visual Studio Code or Code Spaces, however you have it. Now, if I do an add here, you'll notice that I get the usual things like work space, I get terminal and VS Code and other things. But you might notice I have 2 extra things here. There's a Kendo helper and there's a Telerik helper. And the point is, these are additional things that we can light up as you are writing your code. So let's go to the Telerik helper here. It says, hey, I'm a GitHub Copilot chat agent that I can help you with specialized contextual things. So let's just say hi. And it's just going to come back really quick to say, hello, what do you want? So let's do show me code to actually, I did want to invoke the Telerik helper again. So let's do show me code to sort an array in C#, right? So we do this and we see the responses. Both of these things are essentially what's called a pass-through. So when you said hi or when you said sort an array in C#, there's no reason for us to intercept that because you can't beat Copilot because Copilot has all this information and is going to give you the best possible answer. There's no reason why we should do something else. But we can come in and do unique things if you ask the right questions. So if I say, what does Yoda say, right? Star Wars fans. This one's pretty quick, and it says, hey, may the force be with you. Because I didn't even go to Copilot. I stopped it and it said, here's my response for what you're asking. Now, if I ask for specific things here, show me code for Telerik AI prompt, the same AI prompt that I showed you. And let's fire this off. So if you ask the same question to GitHub Copilot, you're going to get some responses, but let me do another one. Show me code for Telerik AI prompt with prompt suggestions, right? So a little bit more, specialized question. And the formatting is a little off, but you get the idea. So this is an AI prompt control that we had introduced a few months back. And if you ask the same question to GitHub Copilot, you might not get this answer because it is relatively new. And as powerful as GPT-4o or Mini or whatever these models are, it just has not had the chance to learn. And I mean, the more you use it, it's going to start learning if you let it do the RAG. But this is us saying we can provide more value by bringing in more contextual responses to exactly what you're trying to ask, because we know the docs, we know the support forums, we can ask, we can respond with very unique things that it's going to be hard for Copilot to come up to again. So it's a mixed bag of trying to see what brings value to developers. And if I show you the code here, this one is being deployed as a VS Code extension. So you can see that I have my dependencies on GitHub Copilot chat, and then I'm introducing two little chat participants. So again, these are meant to provide additional contextual value when you're doing the chat. And it's just one few lines of code here. So when you say Yoda, I know how to respond. When you include generic Blazor, I give our model. So it's a custom model here that we're going to. It's a GPT-4o mini model, and we give it some context, like here's what I want you to respond. Here's the input and here's the output. Now go ahead and respond. So that's how the response works. And for everything else that we would rather do a pass through, we just go choose GPT-4 and let Copilot do its thing. So hopefully you get the idea here. It's just meant to add more value to what you're doing as a developer. So I am looking at my time here. I am very short, so I am going to bring you back to the slides here one more time. And let's go full screen here. So just a quick set of acknowledgements. There are some very smart engineers and PMs that I work with who have helped tremendously put together all of this work. So a big thank you to all of them. And it's .NET 9 time. So hopefully, you're as excited as I am. Go get the bits, and you're going to get all the performance, all the wonderful benefits and enhancements that .NET 9 brings to us as .NET developers. It's a really good time. And hopefully you are, excited with the possibilities of AI. It should not be just to check a box. It should be responsible and truly adding value, adding productivity to your end users as well as your developers. So thank you so much for spending your precious 30 minutes with me. I appreciate all of you. If you like some of the things that you are seeing, please let me know in the comments, and we would like to do more. So with that, thank you all, and hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you.